Hello everyone, welcome to Automate with UiPath. And in this video, I am having a target of 1 hour. So in this 1 hour, what we will try to do is we'll try to complete the active loans use case. So first we will try to understand what is the use case quickly, and then we'll go ahead. So first, the initial part is to download the input file, and I have already downloaded the input file. So this is the input file. The input file will contain some data. So all the data that we have from the input file are with the loan numbers or account numbers, and we need to get the information like bank, branch, loan taken amount, EMI, PAN number, and status. Let's go ahead and understand the exact requirement. The requirement that was asked was go with the last 4 digits and search with that last 4 digits in the website, in this particular website. And once you have that particular 4 digits, so here we have 7325 and control F 7325. So we need to download this particular file, or you can say this is a zip file. Once you download the zip file, let's open it. And here you will get some text. So you need to open the text and you need to get all the information from it, like account number, name, branch. So let's go ahead and understand it with a quick process flow diagram. So I'm going back with my task capture, and let's go with build a sequence. So what is the exact requirement? Download. So every time we start the process, we need to, let's assume that on a project level, we need to download any particular file, download required file. So once we download the required file, what do we need to do? Read all the information, read range, all info. So once we read all the info, then for each row, what we need to do? We need to get the information from the website. That's what the requirement is. Let's go ahead and add that particular tab. So add a sequence again. I'll try to make it more complex so that you will be able to understand it or understand what actually, while working on a project, how this can be replicated. But for now, once we download the required file, read all the info and get account number, or you can also say, okay, I think we can have it get account number. Once we get the account number, search account number in the website. So once we have all the information, like, okay, we have searched for this account number. So here we need to have a decision block, like if number exists, then there are two conditions that we can bring in. It can be either download the file, download zip file, and once the other thing is we don't have the value, no, and here yes. So there can be two options. First thing is download the zip file, and the empty sequence is skip. So if there is no file, then we can throw business rule exception, or you can just write throw no data exists. Okay. So this is what I'm initially planning to do. And let's see with the next steps. So downloaded the zip file. What happens after downloading the zip file? We need to unzip the file, unzip, and after unzip, we will have a text document. So we need to read the text document. Let's go ahead and read the text document. Okay. So once we read the text document, we need to read text document, and other also let's extract all information. So once we extracted all the information, the last part is to add it to Excel sheet. So this is the step, and once the Excel sheet is completed, then what do we need to do? if there is any other item, or we can just think that, okay, I have downloaded one data or I have extracted details of one item, then what is the next step? We need to go into the next value, or we need to search for a second account number. So I'm just trying to add it as a loop and search get account number. So this is what I would like to add it to, so that we'll get a proper information from here. So first thing, we'll start a process. Let's go ahead and start a process and then download the required file. Once the file is downloaded, we need to read all the info from that file that we have downloaded. And once the file is downloaded, get an account number from that file. Okay, and this is a required file will be Excel, right? And read all info, read all Excel data from Excel. So here we are picking up one row at a time. That's what I literally want to mention here. But we can just go ahead and see that, okay, this is downloading a zip file we have. And let's go ahead and see if there is anything else that we can do. So if number exists, download the zip file, or if not, throw that it doesn't exist. So what happens after it throws that there is no other item? So there is one thing that we can do. We can have it on the left side and we can say that, okay, go ahead and fetch a new number. So this is what we can do. So even if it has some data, it will complete all the activities. If it doesn't have the data, then it will go ahead and get a new account. So this is the simple process that we can talk. Now let's convert this particular process into code. What I normally do is write everything from the beginning. But if we have this, we can obviously use this in UiPath. Let's go ahead and export it into a PDF, or export it into a diagram first, so that we can have a reference. Okay, so where we are having all the code, we are having all the code in GitHub. So you can just go ahead, and I will keep the link in the description, repository in GitHub. So you can go with, so there are previously, we have many reusable codes. Along with that, let's go with Botsdna. In that, let's go with ActiveLoans. So this is where I'm going to store all the information. So here I have created a blank process, and this process is again inside Botsdna folder. Okay, so we have main file. For now, let's go ahead and create only, let's try to complete the process or complete the project. Then we will see how we can add or enhance it once we are able to complete it within an hour. I'll be using some advanced concepts. So I'll not be using any basic click activity and all. Understand the process effectively, because that's what will help you in creating a better process, or rather than going with just click activities and all. Okay, so let's go ahead and see what is the information that we have. Okay, so here is the value. If you observe properly, this is at a URL, and this is the copy link address, copy link. And if I just go ahead and add it or update it here, so this is with this particular URL. So if I make a HTTP request, so if you don't know what is HTTP request, I have a complete playlist on how to use web activities or HTTP activities. Go ahead and check it out. It's completely free. So here, let's go ahead and make a HTTP request for this to get the file downloaded. Let's copy this. And how to get the HTTP activities? If it is not there, go to manage packages, UiPath.web. UiPath.web and search for all packages, install with the latest package. Okay, let's add it to the current environment. All the dependencies will be updated here. So I'm making all the code as static for now, but as we go further, or as we improve the process or improve this project, we'll add further activities. So if possible, this can also be executed as a background process because it doesn't need any UI interaction, if you ask me. But I think there is some UI interaction that's there at the background. Let's see how we can do it. This is at an advanced level, so please look carefully. So what the step? What is the first step according to this particular process? So let's go ahead and add the values into active loans. So let's go ahead and add it in the documentation. Let's create a new folder, documentation and process flow. Let's save it, and also let's save this particular process. Control S, active. So this is process flow, and this is active loans. Let's hit on save, and then let's see what do we get. I have created a documentation folder, and you can obviously download this, and this is our process. What do we need to do? We need to first download the required Excel file. Let's go ahead and do that. So let's go ahead and see how we can do that. For this, I'm using HTTP request, and in this HTTP request, what is the path that I need to give? So if I just right click here, I can just copy the link, and when I copy the link from here, I can directly get the input file. All I need is in the response, I need to download a resource, and Control K, I can just give out what is the resource file path that I can give, but I will give it later. Let's go ahead and see what is the result that we are going to get. So this is the raw body, but the actual result is completed. Let's go ahead and click on OK. In the properties, since we are trying to download this file, so this will give a result as an output. The output will be a HTTP file. So here is the resource path. Let's go ahead and create a file path, str input file path. So this is what we'll give, and let's also assign the file path. Click on OK. Okay, so here before we download it, let's go ahead and assign this particular path. In the project, where should we download this? Let's add a data folder so that will be easier for us, and all the files will be downloaded in that data folder. So str input file path. So this will be Control Shift E is the shortcut to open expression editor. So str input file path is what we already have. So double quotes data slash what is the input file path plus, or we can directly give as input file path. So whatever input file name dot xlsx. So I can give whatever file name that I want. I give an input file name. Click on OK. Let's go ahead and see what is the result that we are getting out of it. I don't have any data or any file in this particular data folder. Let's debug this flow. So the process is executed, and if I just hit on refresh, we'll have a separate input file name. So what does this input have? So this input have all the details. So every time we execute this process, this file will be downloaded, but we can also stop it. If we don't have the file, then we can go ahead and download it. Even that logic can be written. For now, let's go ahead and do it. What do we need to do? We need to search for this account number. As per the requirement, or what the initial requirements are, we need to search for the last 4 numbers. But see, when you are developing the project, it's not what a customer wants. It's what is the correct use case, and also how you can give a better solution for a customer is what you need to see. So if you observe properly, each and every data or each and every item that you have from here is with a particular URL, and the URL at the bottom, if you see, is having a particular ID. So this particular URL, we can get it from here. So this is 5735 zip, and this is the URL. So again, I will not use the same click concept here. I'll be using at an advanced level. We will be making another HTTP request. So what this HTTP request will do is it will download this particular file. If you just right click and open it in a new tab, it is actually downloading the file, or it is actually trying to download this particular zip file. So how can we do that? Let's go ahead and make one more HTTP request. Okay, but just observe properly, what do we exactly need? We need to first read all the data from here. Okay, once we read the data, we need to make an API call, or we can also say something like this. Let's try to open a notepad first. Okay, let's see with the URLs. Let's copy the URL, copy link, paste, and let's also copy this, paste. So if you observe properly, all this data is static, including the .zip. The only thing that's changing is this particular ID, and that ID we are getting it from Excel. So how can we concatenate these values? I'll do something like this. I will create a query, or I'll create an assign statement. Control K. I'll create a new file path, zip file path. And since we have this particular item as constant, let's go ahead and open an advanced editor. Let's paste it. We'll see how we can do how we can make changes later, but let's hit on OK. Done. Now what is the exact requirement that we have? This zip file path should be taken as a, so if you see here, we made a endpoint request, right? Get request. So in this HTTP also, let's go ahead and make a str zip file path, and let's make a HTTP request. So once we have the particular data, what exactly do we need to do? Here we have resource path, and this is where the file will be downloaded. Here we are trying to download the Excel file, and here we are trying to download the zip file. Let's go ahead and download the zip file path. Control K, str, current zip file path. Okay, let's also assign what is the current zip file path. Assign one more time. Str, current zip file path is what we need. And here, let's do something like this. In data folder, let's download it. So this will be something like, we are getting this file from this particular ID. So this is the ID that we have, and we can take this ID. So to loop this particular items, or to loop all the values, what I'll do is I will add a read range. I think we missed the flow. Let's go back and see what do we need to do. So read all info from the Excel. So once the file is downloaded, let's go ahead and read range. So I'll be using classic activities, workbook activities. So if you don't know what is workbook activity, get familiar with the basics. So I'll copy this particular path, because this is where we have downloaded it, and this is sheet 1. So instead of sheet 1, we'll have loans, and instead of A to Z, let's keep it empty or blank. So here in the properties, let's add headers, because we will download it, or we will get the headers as column names. And Control K, str or dt loans. So this data table will have all the loans. 1 2 3 4 5 everything. Let's add a for loop and see what do we need to do. For loop for each row in data table, and this is dt loans. So in the current row, what do we need to do? We need to assign this path. Okay, we are going ahead again. Okay, so read all the info, get an account number. So how can we get an account number? Let's go ahead and assign the current account number. Assign Control K str account number. So when we are using a for loop, current row will have the first column as the account number. You can directly give with this account number column name. So let's go ahead and give current row of account number dot toString. Control Shift T. So current row of account number dot toString will be assigned to here. So str account number, you can directly go ahead and append here. So this is what we are going to do. Instead of having a static value, let's go ahead and add plus plus and double quotes before and double quotes after, and this one. So this particular account number will be updated dynamically. And this is zip file path where this particular file should be downloaded. So here we are having this zip file path, but in the local where it should be downloaded is what we need to see. Again, let's use some dynamic values, open in advanced. So here let's assume that we are going to download in data folder. So in this data folder, let's go ahead and add that particular zip. So again, we will have str account number is what we have, and let's add a plus over here and then plus over here and dot zip, because we should not change this format or the extension of the file. Let's go ahead and add it. And finally, this HTTP request will come in here. So what are we currently doing? We got the account number. Search account number in the website. Instead of searching it from the website, what I'm directly doing, I know that this particular ID or whatever the ID that's there in the Excel is coming as a URL value. So I'm just creating the URL dynamically. So once the URL is available, so here these conditions will not come into picture, number exists and all. Let's see how we can change that while completing this project. Here we have HTTP request. This request will download the zip files. Let's go ahead and give it a correction. So current zip file path is what we have. Since I have already downloaded this particular HTTP request and I have completed this, so instead of having a HTTP request, let's comment it out so that it will not download every time. And let's close this. Don't save. And let's see what is the data that we are getting by having a breakpoint. Let's go with debug file. So here we read all the range, and the range we have all the information. Let's go ahead and go with the step into. Step into account number. We are getting one account number from here. So this is the account number. Zip file. Let's go with the zip. So what is the zip file path? So if you see here, this is the zip file path from where the file need to be downloaded. Botsdna. Let's see if we are going to get the value or get the file or not. And step into. So what is this str current zip file path? In local, what it should be or how it should be available. Data, and this is the file path. Let's hit on HTTP request and let's see what do we get. Before going to that, let's see in the project if we have the data or not. In this data folder, we have only one file, that is input file name. Step into. This is completed. The request is completed. And let's refresh and see. So we have this particular zip file path or folder. So when we open this, we'll have this text file. So let's continue and see what is it exactly doing. Then we'll continue. Okay, it's trying to download all the files, all the zip files. Let's open this in folders. So data, and see here, all the files are getting generated and all the files are downloaded. So this is very effective rather than going with the UI approach. So you need to understand the process first. If you understand the process first, then you can give a better solution. And this is what your people will see, how better you are providing the solution and how easy is it to run in the background. So when I'm executing this particular process flow, there will be no UI interaction, so the bots will not fail and it will be quicker rather than going into a particular place searching for it. This is much more easier. So see here, every file is downloaded. Now what happens if I rerun this file? Let's run the file again. Let's see if it throws any error. Okay. Output, the file execution is started and it's completed. And do you know how much time did it take? Only 9 seconds it took to download all the files again. It's actually downloaded all the files. And let's hit refresh and see with the date. Show more options, refresh. So if you can see, this is downloaded just a second back during our execution. So it will just re-download it again. But let's go back and see what is the requirement. So if the file exists, then download the zip file. Once the file is downloaded, then unzip it. Then how can we unzip it? Let's see if there is any activities to unzip and zip the files. So unzip extract. So in file system, we already have an activity called unzip and zip files. Let's go ahead and file to extract and destination folder we have. Extracted contents of the folder also we have. Now let's go ahead and see each thing step by step. So till now what we have completed. Let's go with the process. We downloaded the required file, read all the info, got one account number, searched in. So instead of searching it, we are directly downloading it. And once the downloaded file is available, now we are going with unzip. Let's see with the process. So whatever diagram that we are creating here, this is as is process. So whatever I am creating will be a to be process diagram. So we'll update this again. Now let's go ahead and file to extract. So what is the file that I need to extract? So this is the file I need to extract. Current zip file path. Let's go ahead and give the current zip file path. So what is the extracted folder? Extract to a dedicated folder. That is what it's saying. Into a new folder with the same name as the zip file. So when I give this, it will extract into the same folder. And let's see into a new folder with the same name as the zip file path. Let's see what it does and what are the extracted contents. So if you see here, these two are the inputs and the last one is the output. So here we have, this is the input destination folder path and this is file to extract. Now this is the output. Let's see with the files. So what is the data type for it? If it is a directory info, so let's go ahead and give directory info underscore extracted files. Okay, now let's see what is the result that we are getting with one item. Then we will continue with the next items. So log message, let's add a log message and see what is the data. Log message. Okay, now I need to observe this process carefully so that I will get the correct information to what exactly I require. If you see with the zip files that are getting downloaded, so here is where we have a zip file and even the text or even the ID of the text file is with this particular ID. So let's go ahead and see what we can do with that. So we have downloaded all the files, di. So this is the directory info dot So what is the output that we can get? Enumerate files, get access. So let's see if it has files, or you can directly get to path, or let's see, dot name dot to let's see what do we get from here, and debug. Okay, so continue. Here extract unzip files we have, step into, and what does this data extracted to? Let's see, refresh and open this in folders, data, and if you observe, this got generated into the parent folder, and this is having with this file. So how can we generate it into the same folder? So instead of giving it here, we can give data as the destination path. That's fine, but let's see what is the information that is there in DA extracted files. So that detail we can get it from locals DA extracted files, and see here, this is the folder path that it is giving. So that name is what we need to have. Let's close this, and let's see what do we, or what can we get from here. So I'm creating something new here. I hope you understand. In the immediate panel, di extracted files dot name is what we have, that is the path. Now directory, so this is how we can get the values. Get files of di extracted files dot name. Let's see what do we get. Of 0. So we have only one file, so let's go ahead and give the path. If you see here properly, what are we getting? We are getting the folder name and as well as file name properly here. So this is the code that I want to get. But how can we get these particular connections, or how to get this directory.get files? See, in normal projects, we'll definitely use directory.get files at multiple times. So you'll get used to this. So you please go ahead and understand that directory.get files will give the files that are there in the particular zip file. And since we know that there is already one file that is with the same name, we can use that. Okay, so what I can do, I'll click on stop, and let's go ahead and add something called, so if I just go ahead into this, and let's give data as the folder path, and let's see what do we get from here. So just log a message with this particular information. So what are we having? This particular data dot get directory dot files, in that I'm getting the first file because we have only one file. And here let's go ahead and since, okay, what's there with this particular item? Now we completed the unzip. Read all the text information is what we are doing. For that I am using get text activity. So get text activity or get text is, or a read text or read file should give me the data from a file, and this is what we will get the data from. So let's go ahead and copy, and let's add a message box here, log message. So what does this data will give me? File content, control K, str, account information, text data. So I'm assigning it to a particular variable, output to a particular variable. Let's try to write what's there in this. Str, account information, text data. Let's go with the process again, and let's see what did we do. Simple. First we took the file. Since we have already downloaded it, I have commented this out. This is for downloading the Excel file. because every time it will download the same file. Reading the Excel file, then for each row, assign one account number, that is the row name. And once we have the values, we will download this particular zip file. What do we need to do? Assign it to a particular zip file path. And the current zip file path is with data/account number. And make a HTTP request again to download the same zip file. Once we have the zip, then extract unzip files or extract or unzip the files. Now let's go ahead and download or read the file. Whatever the text that's extracted, let's read it. So that's what I'm trying to do. Debug this file. Let's understand the concept better. Step into. See, in the interviews or whatever, whenever you're trying to do, interviewer will be impressed if you are working with some functions, because this is how it will be easier to get the values directly. Now in this account number, so here we can see the account number is generated and it's taken up. Zip file path is data input file path, but the zip file path is what we are getting it from here, data/zip. Step into. Now here current zip file path is what we have. Current zip file path is data, and the actual zip file path is HTTP Botsdna active loan numbers. Let's step into extract and unzip the file. Okay. Then, so in log message, let's see what is the data that we are getting. So we are getting it as this particular folder path. Let's see. Not sure. Maybe this time we may or may not get it correctly, but let's understand or let's check. Okay. Log message. So here we have the data or information. This particular folder is extracted and this particular text file is available. Let's go ahead and revisit it. So this particular folder, data, okay, active loans. So if you observe here in this data, a new folder is generated, data/this particular value, but not sure why it is giving me this particular string value only. But let's go ahead and understand. Step into di extracted files is data/this particular value. So now even if I delete this particular folder that's generated earlier, let's go ahead and delete this to avoid confusion. So this folder is no more use. All the data is coming from this particular file that is generated or folder that is generated, and it's having the same file path. Let's go ahead and step into. Okay, here if you see here, what is that value? We are getting the file name, extracted file path, but reading it is not possible. Let's go ahead and see why exactly do we have this issue. This particular data file path we have, and directory.get file names we have, and let's get the data or information. Active file paths, di directory file. Okay, let's copy and paste this and see what is the immediate result. So let's copy this and paste this. Okay, there has been an exception because there might be some issue with the name. So let's recreate this particular path. Directory.get files is what we have. So directory.get files. Okay, now let's see with the file name. Okay, so this is available, and path. So here I'm checking with something called path dot get full path of di underscore extracted files dot name. So let's hit on enter. So this is what we have. So this is mapping, or this is pointing directly to this particular folder name. Okay, now what can we do? Let's go ahead and see directory info. So instead of name, what are the other properties does a directory info have? So it have full name and it has name. So name will give me the exact path. Directory info will give me the directory. So path instead of name, let's go ahead and try this. Di extracted files will give me the path. Okay, see here. This particular value we can directly get it from here. That is directory info. So these are the properties. So what are the properties that it has? With the name that we can get its data, and then with data what are the details that we are getting. So here we can do something like this. Directory.get files, and then let's go with this one and 0. So okay, here let's go ahead and give directory.get files of full name di extracted file. So this is how I debug dot full name. So now when we add full name, then we are getting the first value. Let's go ahead and delete. So this is giving me an array of values. If you see here, this is the array of value, and I'm getting the 0th value. So let's go ahead and give this particular item instead of giving only name, because name is giving me only the string value but not the path properly. Let's go ahead and attach this one, attach this one. So this will give me the full path, and then let's save it. Let's debug this again. Step into. This is giving me the path. HTTP request is made. File is downloaded. Okay, so this is the full path of the file. Step into, and here you go. Text information. Let's hit on step into and let's see what are the values. So we are getting all the values that we require. That is account number, bank, branch, loan taken, amount, EMI amount. So till now, what we have done, let's go ahead and take a quick look. Downloaded the Excel file, read all the information, got an account number, and instead of searching, we are downloading the file directly and extracted information. Now adding it to Excel file is what we need to do. So how can we do that? Let's see with the information again. So account number is what we are getting. Okay, and account number, bank and branch we are getting, loan taken, amount and EMI amount. Okay, let's go ahead and see how can we extract the information. One important thing that we have missed is we need to get the status as well as the loan code and the PAN number from here, or PAN number from here. So how can we get that? So for that, we obviously need to open this particular Excel file or this particular URL. Let's go ahead and see how can we do that. So first I will download this particular data from here. Okay, and store it to a particular Excel file or any particular value, any place where I can have information. Okay, so here I will do something like this. Let's go ahead and stop the process. Anyhow, we are getting all the information. Let's see with the Excel information that we have. Now HTTP request is what we are getting, and we are going to get all the information from here. Let's go ahead and take this particular value. So here, see, every time we need not get this information, or even if we get the information every time, then how can we get it? Let's see. Here we are having the values. Let's add attach browser, use application or browser scope. I think I can use this. So I'm using new activities, but there is also an option to use classic. So attached browser is what I will have. Attached browser is what I will have. But let's go ahead, because you need to learn new things. Let's go ahead, use application or browser, indicate this particular screen. Okay. So in this particular screen, this is mapping to active loans. But here, what do we need to get? Again, a bit of complexity is what I'll be doing so that the program will be easily executed. So here, let's go ahead and get text. Okay. So in this particular item, I'll get with the object repository. There is no object repository. Let's indicate here. So we are going to get this status. Okay. So I'm not going to get each and everything. Okay. So duplicates are found, options. Let's go ahead and see how we can change this. Responsive websites. Okay. Selector is what I'll give. Let's see with the value. Okay. And let's hit with the anchor base. So what is add anchor? So let's hit with this particular ID. Okay, there is one anchor here that's available, and then let's hit on not image anchor. Let's hit on confirm, and let's see what are the values that we have. Target and selector we have. Let's confirm and let's change it later. Let's see how we can change the values. Edit target is what I'll do. Hopefully I can get something with UI Explorer. So indicating an element, this is what I want, but I will also indicate an anchor, and this is what I want. And if I observe properly, or if I am able to understand the link between the first value or the status value and the anchor base, so here, if we are going to see properly, href is what will contain the particular ID, and AA name can change. We don't know the AA name, but href, this particular ID will be same as the account number. And in this table row, this status is what we need to get. So the column name is what we need. Okay. So every time this status changes, let's go ahead and copy this. Control A, Control C. Edit selector, edit target. Okay. I should be able to preview extraction, edit target. Okay. Copy to clipboard, show all matches. Now if you see here, there is only one match that's coming in. Okay. Now if I change this particular ID to a different value, for example, in the Excel that I have, if I change it to a different value, then it will be mapped to the next item. So let's hit on confirm. So here, let's check with the target, indicate on screen, preview extraction, default method. Let's get active. So let's see what is the difference, or what are the different values that we are going to get. Text attributes, active, full text, show, ignore, same thing. Then again, native, refresh, hello formatting, refresh. We're not getting a native value. Let's go with default. That's active. Save and close. Now, once we get this one, we also need PAN number here. So what is the link between PAN number and this? So instead of having this item active, we'll go with the PAN number now. But the same logic we are going to apply, indicate anchor. So this particular ID will not change, or the anchor or the URL will be the ID. So this is what I want. And let's change this AA base. This one, let's go with PAN number. and the column name. So we are going to get the column name from here, or the column name is PAN number, and we are going to get the value from here. So let's hit on copy, and let's see what we are going to do with this. So here let's add one more get text, and in this let's get with this particular item. So target is selector is what we have, and then I'll paste this particular value. Okay, preview. So this is giving me only this particular ID. Let's go ahead and let's see further how we are going to do this. Okay, so this is the status, str_status, and here let's go ahead and give a different value, control K, str PAN number. So this is getting extended. So stay patient and complete all the activities so that it will be easier for you to understand the end-to-end process. Then we will be able to, or we will understand how to convert this into RE framework. Then it will be much more interesting. Now what are we doing? We are taking the value and we are getting two values or two particular IDs. Let's see in the properties how and what we are getting. Anchor 1 is what we have. So this is the anchor, that's what it's showing, and this is the fuzzy selector that we have. Okay, and targeting methods I can directly keep as selector. Okay, so this is the target that I want. Fuzzy selector we have, but the main idea or main goal is to get the different values. So let's go ahead and remove this anchor, and let's see with the exact value that we want. Okay, so now let's try to change this particular ID and see if we are going to get something new. Let's open this particular Excel input. So this is the ID, right? Let's see if we are going to get something out of this particular item. So let's add it here, validate. It's not getting validated. Let's hit it. So the mistake that I have done over here is one thing, that is I have selected table row. See, this particular ID can come at any place. So instead of adding this value like this, let's remove this particular item. So now let's remove the highlight and let's highlight this one. So active is what we are getting. Hit on OK. And let's see with this particular item as well. In the selector, let's go ahead and edit the selector. Let's update this particular ID, validate. So again, we need to check with the row. So this particular row is not constant. It can come in any row. Validate. Okay, highlight. So now we are getting the PAN number. Let's hit on close. And every time we need to update this particular value. So how can we do that? Let's go back and update this particular selector. So in this selector, let's change this particular ID. So instead of having this, particular item, let's go ahead and add a variable over here. Use variable. So what are the variable that we have? Account number is the variable that we have. Confirm. So this account number will be updated dynamically. Now in the same way, let's go with text as well. Edit selector. So instead of having this particular static value, let's go ahead and give a dynamic value. Let's remove this, right click, use variable, change it to account number. Confirm. So this particular ID will be changed dynamically. Let's go ahead and run multiple times and let's see what is the value or what are the values that we are getting. Log message. Let's add a log message and see exactly what do we need. So str account number is what we have, and this account number, let's add what is the data or what is the status that we have. Str status for this plus str PAN number. So this is what we want, and let's go ahead and update this one. Let's check if we are getting the correct values or not. Control Shift T. So again, a quick explanation. First, we are getting the account number from the Excel and what is the status that it extracted and the PAN number. Let's hit on OK. Let's go ahead and debug and see if we are going to get the correct values. For us to understand it properly, I am enabling highlight elements here. Let's hit on debug. Let's close this. Okay, continue. Or I can use a slow step, or else I can keep a breakpoint over here. Let's have a breakpoint over here. Breakpoints. The only thing that I'm checking now here is this may close this particular browser. Let's see with the properties, what are the properties that it has. So close defines target activity, resize is none, and open. So there is nothing, open defined, so it's basically empty, so it will work as is. Continue. Extract the zip files. It extracted. So let's see what is the value that it extracted. Account information, text data, output. So these are the values that it has. Now let's extract status as well as the PAN number. Step into. Okay. Now it extracted the values, and let's see what is the value. Get text. Okay. Now if you can see here, the ID is generated, active, and then the value. All the three values are generated. 7325. Let's search for the 7325. 7325 active and DIWPK. So this is what we are getting. Let's continue to see the next item. If you are getting the correct values, continue. So Viratnagar branch is what we have, 6673, and it should be ended by 9420. The data that's extracted should be ended by 9420. Let's check on this. Get text, it's trying to fetch the value. Next, step into. Okay, step into. So this is what it's getting. Active 492U, active 492U. Now it will generate all the files with all the information. Let's stop it. Now what are we able to complete? We extracted all the information. One thing that we have missed here in this particular process is we didn't extract, or we didn't add a step to extract the information from the website. We'll add it later, but let's continue. The last step is adding the data, all the information to the Excel sheet. And one more important thing, or one more important process that we are missing over here is we were able to extract the information in the form of, let's see in the output, what is that value that we are getting. So we are able to extract the information, but the information is in the form of text values, or the complete values are like this: account number, bank, branch, loan taken and amount, EMI. So how can we change this value, or how can we change the text data into any particular, you can say that any particular config file or table? How can we do that? Let's go ahead and see. So here I am trying to make things easier. So for that, what I'll do, I'll keep a separate project file for this. Let's go ahead and add, right click, add sequence. So in this sequence, let's add text to table. So what is the data that we are going to do? Let's go ahead and read a text file. Read text file. And after reading a text file, let's try to convert that into values or key value pair. So let's log first and let's see how we are going to get it. File name, let's map it. Again, data, one information. I'm just trying to get the information from this. Then we'll change it dynamically to a different item, or let's change it later. Output will be str file data, and the file data we are going to get is str file data. Let's debug and see what's there in the file data. So this is what I have: branch, account number, amount, and EMI. Try to get the information. So I will use some string activities here. If you don't know what are string activities, there is a complete video on how to use string activities. I will share it in the description. Go ahead and check it out. str, and let's assign, and in this assign, let's go ahead and give str, or I will try to split these particular values. So split it with a new line. I will see if there are any activities for that. Split. I can also regex. I can also use regex, but I will see if I can do it without regex. Okay. Control K. Open in advanced. String dot split, or I can also use str file data dot split. So I will use this particular function, string function again. So str file data dot split. What do I need to give? I will need to, so this is again a code that we need to understand. So we need to pass in a string here, and this string should contain environment variable. New line, and then comma, string split options dot none. So this is the code that we need to split it with a new line. Okay, and this will be given to str, or we can say that array of lines. So variable we have, this will come as array of strings. Let's go ahead and see how we can do this later. And let's have a breakpoint over here. Let's check if we are getting the values or not. Okay, activities, locals. So this is what we have, and this is null for now. Step into will give me 12 values. Let's see what are the values. So if you see, observe here, we are also getting empty values. String split options, remove empty entries is what we can also give. Let's go ahead and stop it. So instead of having empty values or empty lines, let's give Control Shift E. So this is again a code. So instead of string split options none, I will give remove empty entities. So if there is any empty value, I will remove them. Let's go ahead and debug again. Step into. Now we have only 6 values. Account number, bank, branch, loan taken, amount, EMI month. Here if you observe again properly, I can use all the values. The first one will always be account number, the second one will always be bank, and the third one will always be branch. Let's see how we can do that. Stop. And let's go ahead and add for each. Okay, in this for each, let's give out array of lines as value. Okay, in this properties, let's go ahead and change it from object to string, and let's add a log value. A log message again. I'll use this item and I will split it again. So first one, for the first one we used split values, but now we will use with a colon. Item dot split of. So what are we splitting it with? We are splitting with colon, character, and then let's give out 0. Why? Because if we split this particular text into colon, then what are we going to get? Bank and then ICICI. 0 will give me the bank and 1 will give me the values. So let's go ahead and see both. Copy plus VB new line plus this one. Let's go ahead and understand or try to work with this. Let's see if we are going to get all the values or not. Step into log message. Let's see in the log if we are getting the value or not in the output. Let's go back and see in the output. So you can see here account number is account number because I haven't changed it. So let's go ahead and stop it. Properties and then 1. Let's run this file now. Run file to see all the values. Activities and output. Account number we are getting, bank we are getting, branch we are getting, loan taken on we are getting, amount, EMI. All the details are available for us. So this is at a 0th index. So if I just go ahead and observe it properly, account number is always at the 0th index. Bank is always at a first index and we'll continue further. Let's see how we can do this. For each we have, and after this for each, what are we going to do? Let's copy this file or let's copy this code because we can use this code. Let's copy this and paste it over here. So here we are getting the values from the website, but here we actually got the value from the text. So let's paste it over here. So text to table is what we are getting from here, and here we are getting PAN number and the status. So now how can we convert or how can we add these values into the sheet? If you observe here, this particular sheet that we are trying to download, so active loans data, this is the input path. So what do we need? So for the first one we need bank to be updated, for next branch to be updated, loan taken to be updated, amount, EMI month, PAN number and status. So let's go ahead and create this structure so that we can add all these values. Okay, let's go ahead and see how we can do that. Here we will do something called, so again, there are different ways of working with this, but for now, let's go ahead and add a log message or comment message to add some details. Comment, properties, create table, and update Excel. So the next steps will be to create the table and update with the Excel, because that's what we want. Add it to Excel sheet. In the same Excel sheet we want, or we can also create a different Excel sheet, but let's go ahead and write it in the same sheet. So let's go ahead and create a table, build data table. In this build data table, what do we need? So we'll dynamically, or we'll just add some values. So one account number is what we have. Account number we have. The second one is bank. So let's create a bank. There is one more way to do this actually. Do you want to know what is it? Okay. We have already read the information from here. If you have observed, this information we already have it from read range. Okay, so using this also we can create a table. Let's see how easy is it to do this, because when we create a build data table, we need to create each and every row. So we'll do that later, like how can we clone this and how can we add the values. So branch we have, copy the branch and add the branch values. Then we have loan taken on. Let's add loan taken on. Then amount, let's go ahead and create amount. Let's check with EMI. I'll check with EMI also. PAN number and status. So we have all the information that we want, but the only thing is we cannot add dynamic values here. So let's hit on close. So what are the details that we need? Account number we have, bank, branch and all. But since we already have account number, let's not do this. Let's add it from branch or bank. Okay, hit on OK. We created this build data table. So properties, Control K, result table. And to this result table, let's add a data row. Add data row. Okay, so this data row value will be adding table. So this build table will be a result table. Result table. And let's add all the information here. How can we add the information? Here is what we need to see. From here, what are we going to get? We are going to get all the items in the array lines. We are going to split the values. Okay, so here is what we can ideally do. So instead of using for each again, we can do something like this. So I'm coming back to the sheet. So how can we get the value? We have already used split here. Now let's go ahead and keep an assign. What do we need? We need bank. So Control K, str bank. So how can we get the bank value? So here we'll go ahead and add the bank value from here. Out of this area of lines, if you observe properly, data, text, bank will always be the second item. So that is at an index 1. So let's go ahead and check how can we add this value. Again, we can use for loop as well, but this is a bit complex way of doing that. So area of lines, and at index 1 we are going to get the value, that bank value. So here at index 1 we are going to get this bank value. Now Control Shift E. There are different ways. One way is to split it, that we have done already. The second way is to remove this bank text completely from here. We'll go with a easier way, that is split. And using this split, let's go ahead and give a colon and C, and at one index dot trim. Let's see what is the value that we are going to get from here. Copy. Let's remove this particular item. So str bank is what we have. Breakpoint. Debug. Again, we cannot see with a single process, or we cannot say that there is only one process. We can say that there are multiple processes and we need to try to solve them. Okay. So I think we missed get text activity. That was the issue over here. So let's stop and see if we can use get text or read text file. Read text file. Data. str file data. Let's go ahead and give properties. str file data. Let's debug this again. Step into will give me all the list of items in the properties. Let's go with locals and see. So there are 6 items. So in these 6 items, bank value step into will give me ICICI. So if I use the same logic, let's go with watch or with respect to immediate panel. To understand this again, str, we have array of lines 0 will give me, okay, I think this got closed, or this particular item got completed. Let's stop it here and let's have a breakpoint debug. And immediate panel. Let's see with this one. str lines. Okay, it didn't complete it. So let's hit on step into. Now let's give str lines. So this is giving me an account number. Now if I give str lines of 1, it will give me the ICICI. If we give 2, because we have 6 items, right? So it will be 0 to 5. So the last one will be 5. If I give 6 here, we don't have 6th item, so it will be object exception. So exception has been thrown by target of invocation. So now how am I getting the value out of it? So with 5, that is EMI month 1000, I know that after colon I will definitely have the value. So dot split, again it will be different for different things, but since the structure of this one is simple, I'll be using this one. Split of colon C of will give me 2 values, EMI and 10,000. I will give it out as 1. It will give me 1000, 10,000. Dot trim will remove all the extra spaces. So this is how I am converting this particular value to a string, or that particular value I am able to extract. Now let's go ahead and now we are going to get, if we are going to get with 5, this is the EMI month. EMI per month is what we are going to get as a value. Now let's use the same code and let's try to implement over there. Let's stop this one and go to the main file again. So I'll be removing this for each loop, or I can comment it out because I don't want it. Now I will add a multi-assign here. Multiple assign. So what are the values that I need? Again, I'll go to the Excel, str bank, Control K. So this will be changed dynamically. str bank, str branch. Next one, let's go with loan taken. So right now I'm keeping everything as string, but if you want, you can change that to data types. Amount, control K, str, amount. I can change it later, but for now that's fine. And EMI per month, control K, str, EMI amount. The next one is PAN number and status. Okay, these two I can get it from here directly, so I need not have this value. Let's take this code, area of 1, copy and paste it. So bank value, if I say here, so this is lines 1. I'm going to go back here. Bank value ICICI, hit on OK. The next one is branch Viratnagar. So this is line 2. This is line 2. This is line 3. This is line 4. Can we do more dynamic? Yes, we can do more dynamic, but that will actually increase the complexity of the code. So this is fine. Fine. So we have all the values: branch, bank, loan taken, amount, and everything. And finally, what do we have? We also have the information from here, like status and PAN number. So we have all the information: account number, bank, branch, loan taken, amount, EMI, PAN number, and status. Let's see if we have these values in the scope or not, because this may not be in the scope. So let's add it to sequence. I really wish if I can select everything and change the scope, but right now we don't have such options, so we need to go back and change with every item. So amount we have, sequence we have, account information, text data we have. Okay, this is fine. So I have all the information: bank, branch, loan taken, amount, EMI. And from here we are getting status. So let's hit on this one. We have status. Where is this? This is status, sequence, and PAN number. So we have all the information that we want is extracted. So from here we are going to get the text information, and from here we are going to get the PAN information. Now let's add the values here. How can we add? We need to add it from an array. str, what is the structure? Bank branch, str bank. Let's give out an str bank. If you're not getting, see why we are not able to get it, and if we have the correct scope or not. So add data row, variables. We have all the information. Array, str bank, comma, str branch. Okay, bank branch loan taken, comma, str loan taken. Okay, then amount, EMI, PAN number, str amount, str EMI, str PAN, and the last one is status, comma, str status. I think the status we're going to get from here, and add it to a flower bracket because that's an array. Hit on OK. So now we are building a data table and we are adding it to data row. One last thing, it will complete the process. We need to write it back to the Excel, this particular place. So there is also a logic here. So 0th index will always be in B2. So we need to write from B2. The next one we need to write from B3. So in the for loop, if you have observed, there will always be a properties index value, control K, int index, row index. So this one will be generated automatically, and at 0th index it will be 0, at first index it will be 1. Now how can we write it back? Let's go back and add write range, Excel write workbook write range. So if you are not having Excel in your machine, then obviously you can use workbook write range. So let's see, this is write range with workbook. So what is the path that we have? So the path that we are going to have is str input file path. Okay, and the sheet name is loans. You can get it from here because this is where we need to write it. And this we'll check later, but result table is what we need to write. Okay, now coming to this logic, how can we write it? Now when we are writing it with A1, then it will write from here, but we don't want to write it from here. We want it from B2. For the next one, we need to write it from B3. How can we do that? So if you observe, B is static plus, now we are going to concatenate. In row index, we'll get at the 0th row index, we need to write it from 2. Okay, always if it is first one, you need to add +2. So for the first item at the 0th index, it will write B2. Next one, it will write B3. So that's how we are going to increment. .toString will remove that error. Now let's go ahead and close this particular item. The code is completed. If we need to convert that into RE framework, let's try this in the next session. But let's check back with whatever we have done. Start. We are downloading the file. Read all the information. Get account number. Search. We are not doing. We are directly downloading. And if the downloaded file exists, we are reading the extracted information. Read all the information that's there. Extract it to Excel. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and run this flow. And also let's have a breakpoint over here. Step into. So now what we are getting? The account number. Let's check with the locals. Account number we have. Step into the zip file path, and the zip file path is this one. We need to download this zip file path. Step into, and now all the data that we have is static. When we are converting this into a complete project, then we will completely move these into assets, config and all. Step into, the HTTP request is completed and the file is downloaded here, this current zip path. Step into, and step into will give me the file name. I think this need to be changed, but this is giving me complete full name. Let's see with the message, what is the log message that I'm going to get? Output. So this is the path. Reusable codes, active loans. Step into, we read the information and the information came out here like this. So here the file information is account information, all the account details, bank details and all. Now when we are splitting this, step into, text to table is what we are trying to add, but this is actually giving me all the values. So bank, branch and all. So this is again throwing an error. Okay, here the issue is this particular str file path is not available. So let's go ahead and stop it, and we need to give this particular information. Account information text data is what we need to have. So let's go ahead and add this value and remove this one. Str file data. So account information text data is what we need to update if you haven't worked on this. Okay, now let's see. Faulted, but now this is clear. So the next time this will be removed. So let's go ahead and debug again. And let's have a breakpoint directly over here. Let's continue. Continue the process. So array lines, account information is what we have. This is account information. Step into, we have array of lines, and that is with here ARR of array information. Let's hit on step into and see. Okay, the multiple assign is completed, and we will have all the values: bank, branch, loan number, and all. Step into again. From here we are going to get the values from the text file or the website. Step into, the status is extracted, PAN number is extracted, and let's hit on account number. Step into, so we are going to get the values active. Step into, so now we have updated all the values. Now we need to create a data table and we need to update. Let's build a data table. So this is result table and the result table is empty for now. Let's step into, okay, so add data row, a Saptagiri Gramina bank in the column expected is type int. Okay, I think I got the issue here. The data type or the particular column type, this is integer, this should be changed to string because that should be a string value. Okay, let's have a breakpoint over here and then let's debug again. Previous items, let's go ahead and close them. Continue. Continue. Here I'm pressing continue so that I'll get the values. Okay, now this will be added to a data row. Now let's see with the result table. Now we have all the information that we require. Let's see if we are able to edit. Step into, done. And now let's go ahead and see with the input file, because that is saved with read range or write range. This should be updated automatically. So here we have all the values. So when we continue to run this flow, don't save. So let's go ahead and use step into, continue. It's downloading the files, extracting the information from the website, this one and the PAN number, adding the values. Step into, now it should write in B3. Now let's go ahead and check with that. Is it writing in B3 or not? Now it wrote in B3. So ICICI Bank. Let's check with few details. 492U is what we have for 6673. Let's go ahead. 6673 492U. So details are getting correct. Let's stop with the process and then let's run this. I just want to see how much time is it taking to complete all the steps. Run. The process is completed and it took literally, how much time does it take? It took 2 minutes to complete all the steps, but how many files does it extracted or did it extract? Group by type. So it was able to extract all the information, like 77 items within a span of 2 minutes. So that's a lot of saving if you ask me. And this is a wonderful use case because initially I thought this will be completed within an hour, but the complexity got increased while we are getting the information or while we are fetching the information. And we were able to also do web activities instead of working generally on the UI activity. So this can also be executed, or this can be a background process as well if we think a bit extended or if we think a bit extra on this particular process. So I am uploading this into GitHub. Thank you so much for staying this long till the end, and check out with the other process as well. Those are very interesting as this process is. See you.